What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode to the Road to 150. 150. Wow.
50? Almost like you said 115 there.
Almost. I was like 150. Anyways, I'm one of your hosts, Davis Peng, Ride for Fantasy Six Pack, and with me is Hope Bishop. She will be your guys' main drafter today. We're gonna try to spread this out a little bit. We're going to do a show this week where Hope is drafting solo, and then I'll do one drafting solo, but we'll both be in here together. The idea is kind of like really get into someone's mind and what they're doing, how they're drafting. When we Hope draft together, or even drafting together in a draft together, we tend to like feed off what we're doing. So this is kind of to see what someone's doing right now in the middle of July going to August. Like I seen a lot of streams, and I don't know about you, Hope, but like sometimes when people are drafting together, we see us like chip chasing, even like collabs. It's kind of interesting to see how people shape out their drafts. It always ends up being like, it's not bad. These aren't bad teams, but
No,
I don't feel like I ever get the full influence from somebody. Like I wanted to hear.
Yeah, and speaking like us doing it together, no, Connor and Thomas got it. You're probably right. I've got some Connor. And if I get boxed out a receiver, I'll add MT. But not much. But no, I do think like when you're doing two together, we're each focusing on what we're doing kind of separately. And this kind of gives both people a chance to focus on one draft and not, just doing what seems like when we draft together, we kind of know what the team's going to look like, right? Like we're each going to get a few of our guys and they're going to come together on like the other 14 picks. So I think this will be a fun exercise. I'm excited to do yours on Thursday to get in your head on your picks, getting ahead on mine today and what we like and see. So yeah, I'm excited to get into it. We got some news today, though. Or obviously, camps are right around the corner. Some have started. Stuff's starting to roll in. Herbert, very rich man now. We got some more people added on PUP with Jonathan Taylor today. Again, PUP I'm kind of being cautious with right now as far as not really worrying about it too much. Obviously, we'd rather it not be the case. Someone's on PUP, but it seems like it's kind of meaningless at this point. So yeah, what's some news that caught your eye today, or you got any reaction to that stuff?
The pup that I caught my eye because I just wasn't expecting it was like Sterling Shepard. I was like, oh, Sterling Shepard to the pup. I'm like, I forget he still has a contract.
Thinning out the slot receivers there with the Giants.
I was
one by one.
I was dying deep down. I was dying. I was like, oh god. And I love Sterling Shepard. I had a few of them last year, not a ton, but I really hope this guy kind of gets it together. But his surprised me a little bit. Wandale. A lot of the Giants, for some reason, seem to be on this one. And then shout out to Underdog for like keeping it all easy to find. That was kind of interesting to me.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean the biggest news. We ignored it. Sorry, everyone, for ignoring the biggest news today. Yeah, Jimmy Graham on a 1-year contract with the Saints. I swear to God, when I saw it this morning, I'm like, oh, it's cool. He signed a 1-day contract. He's gonna retire a Saint. Like, I just assumed that's what it was. Kind of moved on with my day at work, and then like check Twitter, or X, whatever Elon wants to call it today. Like an hour later, and it's like, no, this is a 1-year contract. I honestly didn't look too deep in the details, but what did you think when you first saw that? When Jimmy Graham won a 1-year deal to the Saints.
I thought Sean Payton ended up back on the Saints somehow. I literally was like, did Sean Payton like end up the coach over there? Like, what's going? I just
they're having like a reunion flag football game. Drew Brees coming back as well to throw to Jimmy Graham or something. I was stunned. Like, yeah, everyone thought it was a 1-day contract. It was wild. Definitely the most unexpected news of the day, that's for sure.
I saw one for the Bears. Someone's like, "Oh, the Bears gave him a 1-day contract. He's retired as a Bear or something." And I was like, "I don't. What's like? Does anybody even know what's going on?" I bet you Jimmy was even surprised he got signed. He probably just like joked, like, "Yeah, I'd be willing to come back at 37."
Yeah,
like done, done. We're doing this.
We don't talk much defense on the show. Trevon Diggs got the bag as well. But yeah, I don't know what to think about the Jimmy thing. I'm assuming he goes to camp for like a week and is like, I should have stayed retired. Who knows? Maybe he doesn't.
He busts Avonte Davis.
We'll revisit it. I mean, we'll revisit that if it actually becomes a thing. I mean, obviously, I don't think it affects anything for me at all. Even if he makes the team somehow. So I just thought it was hilarious.
It does affect one thing, and this is not a joke. I do think it makes me like I feel like Jimmy's setting himself up as like that veteran receiver, like the veteran guy in the room, kind of like a mini coach. And I say that because when you look at their tight ends there, it's like Jawan and
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
right,
Juwan,
like
who's only been playing tight end like a few years. He was a college wide
exactly.
receiver.
So I feel like that's probably what it is. Like you kind of want these guys in the room, and I get it. Someone can say, "Well, they have a tight ends coach." Yeah, but it's different. Like a tight ends coach is a tight ends coach, and you want someone in the locker room on the field with them and on like that's what it reminds me of. You see these sometimes where like
yeah,
these really older dudes are just there. I mean, we
I mean
saw this
Brian
for like
Hoyer's still cashing checks. So
Brian Hoyer, McCowan when he was with Sam Darnold, right? Like
yeah,
he was grooming
Joe
him
Flacco
and stuff like that. So.
now. Yeah, no, I agree. I'm gonna be honest. I thought when you were about to say it, you're like, now one thing this does, I thought you were gonna say, he played basketball. He's gonna box out people on the goal line. Go back to that old trope with Jimmy Graham.
God, please no more. I'm tired of hearing that in like Madden. Oh my God, he's gonna be back in Madden this year.
Yeah.
Jimmy Graham's gonna be in Madden. Oh my God, this is so
Hilarious.
terrible. Oh my God. Okay.
Anything else? Tony Pollard, you mentioned that. We can get into more of these
Yeah.
when we do the draft. That not starting on pup, so that's good. Or I believe.
Yeah, and that's the thing I liked. It's like I don't care what it says. We were all at some point worried about like Tony Pollard's situation. He got injured at the end of the season. It wasn't a pretty injury, but he's of all people like going to be ready for camp. Like that's good. That's good news. If you're a Tony Pollard guy, you should be stoked. You should be happy because that's what you need to hear. Because that was one of those lingering questions. This is half the reason that Zeke, back to Dallas news came up was Tony Pollard like might not
still
be
probably
ready.
on the table too, though.
Exactly, but like
I still think it is.
It is, but I feel like it's not as pressured if they feel like he can if he's ready for training camp.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna wish I had all the Pollard if like we get to the week before the season and all they have is Malik Davis behind him.
Don't forget Ronald Jones, okay?
Ronald Jones,
Super Bowl champion Ronald Jones is on this team. All right, I don't want to hear it.
Facts. All right,
let's go for your draft.
Yeah, let's hop in. This is gonna be a fun one. It's gonna be a different one, like you said. I am the one kind of solo drafting this. We're gonna go through each pick. Waiting on 5.
And the goal is to kind of like mind pick a tutorial kind of situation. Like I feel like people all draft differently, and I like hearing about someone's particular.
Look at that sad Justin Jefferson percentage. It's come way down. I haven't got a 101 in a long time.
I think I'm at like 6.4 or something. Like I'm in like a low 6.
Got the
112 recently.
Nice.
You got GA up in here, King of Kings, Huron. Yep. Couple names. Couple names you recognize. That's and of course you belong where so you should have just let me draft then at this point. 112. This is where I live.
No, we should have just picked this one together.
I'm the king of 112.
Yeah. But no, this will be a fun one to go through. We can start off the top and we'll talk more when I get there. You can tell looking at my oh no, you go ahead. Jason's in here before.
First question I would always ask, like I always want to know how do you feel about the 112, right? Like, is it a spot you like? Is it a spot you don't like? Let's go with that first.
Yeah, no, I like it, especially this year. Like my drafting style, I like to lean, especially this year on Underdog, wide receivers early. And it sits up great. For different reasons, I like all the different guys that go in that range. CD all the way through Devontae Adams. I like all of them. I do like Chubb. I kind of wish I wouldn't have missed the boat on him as much early. We got CMC at 1. And this one, that's an interesting move. But no, I like it. I love the receivers that go there. I like Bijan. I mean, it's tough, like, to not like, the first round of guys, right? The first couple rounds. It's like, of course I like Devontae Adams and CeeDee Lamb and stuff. But
and then
no, I mean, there's a couple spots I don't like, but
yeah. So at the 112, it's probably like middle of the pack for you. I would assume we're pretty up there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if I can get 1 through 4, I'm most happy, or even 5. Like I still like Tyreek, but it's more like 6 through 8ish that it just feels a little weird.
And then I guess my other question would be is where have you generally leaned? You said wide receivers, so like who do you generally hope falls to you?
Garrett
because
Wilson
112, you can get anybody realistically, right? You can get Eckler there somehow. You can get Bijan there. You can get Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, AJ Brown, CeeDee Lamb. Like, who are you looking at here to fall to you?
Terry's in the 3 as well. I've done, I've got a good bit of Amon-Ra. Amon-Ra and Garrett Wilson are probably my two most drafted guys at that range. I really like their opportunity this year, especially with, oh my gosh, I'm blank. Jameson Williams missing the first 6 games. Like, Amon-Ra could just be an amazing advance rate player, and he's just a stud overall.
I'm assuming that's ahead of CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, I've been taking him ahead of CeeDee most of the time. I mean, It's 9% to 12%, so it's not a huge gap. And of course, they play in week 17, so I've taken them together some. It's not, the first thing I look at here at the turn, but it doesn't hurt. I didn't realize I had so much. Only had 4.5% Devontae Adams, so I'm actually gonna prioritize getting a couple more shares of him here, and then, and then I'm gonna do CeeDee and balance that out between him and Amon-Ra a little bit.
Okay. So I mean, I was about to answer my next question. Is like, your exposures overall are pretty flat, right? Like you're in that 8,
especially in that first, 2 or 3 rounds for sure.
So your goal is to get that balance, even if you're not too in on them, but you're like, hey, where could I go wrong with 8%?
Yeah, I mean, you can make you can see the absolute bull case for pretty much any of these first 2-3 round picks. So I would prefer it to be flatter. Obviously, if I could get 100%, Justin Jefferson or something, I would take it. But yeah, I would prefer it to be a little flatter. And if I was using, like, say, the Spike Week tool too, which I wish was on Google, you can see, like, your combos a little easier. And so, like, I know I've got CeeDee Amon-Ra combo. I'm not exactly sure if I've got a CeeDee Devontae Adams, but it gives me a little bit more chance of some uniqueness there.
And then, so we have those
draft
two.
Started out kind of interesting.
I'm actually surprised you didn't just grab Amon-Ra there for that correlation, but it just tells me that you care more about the balance in the correlation, which is fine, not a big deal.
No, yeah, I just know I've at least got like 3 or 4 CeeDee Amon-Ra teams already. That
everybody does, right?
Yeah, I mean, so it's like, I know I've got that one, and I saw only had 4.5%. And Devontae's been an interesting one. I want to ask you. I know this one's kind of like a my mind thought, but Devontae Adams has been pretty hot button topic. I know Rob Coakley at Spike Week is full fading him, wants 0% this year. Other people are like, he's crazy. It's Devontae Adams. Like, it doesn't matter. He produced with Derek Carr when he wasn't even great last year. Now, I think Derek Carr is better than Jimmy G. But what's kind of your thoughts on the Devontae Adams discourse?
I really don't like Jimmy G. Like, it's like I have like a hard. I don't think he's that good at quarterback.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay, I take it back. I think he's good at quarterback, but I think the injuries have taken so much of a toll on him that it's like beyond physicality. I think it's even partially a mental thing too. Like, if you watch him pre-injury, I feel like Jimmy G was like really good, or could have been. I think post-injuries, plural, like, it's kind of a different player.
Yeah.
So I think it does affect Adams, but like, what does it affect? I mean, I don't see a world where like Adams isn't like 1,000 to 1,100 yards, right? Like, at least not yet. I think the touchdowns I question though. Like, do we see 15 touchdowns? Probably not.
I think that's
do we
fair.
see like 8? Sure. Like, I mean, like, what are they not gonna? What are they gonna do? Not use Adams? I don't know. Like, I just don't. It's weird. So I think he's like a 1,100 guy, maybe 12 to 13, and like 8 touchdowns tops. We saw what they did last year with Josh Jacobs. We saw what they did. Hunter Renfrow had a down year too. Darren Waller had a down year last year. I think once things get a little bit better, you have Jacoby Meyer. Maybe things look nicer for them over there as a spread. So, and that's what Jimmy G does. He spreads the ball pretty well at short distance.
And so I think it's interesting. Yeah, I was about to point that out. One spot going high T with 3 straight RBs. The target competition for him is honestly kind of worse than last year. Would you say? I mean, you got Jacoby
coming into the season, yeah.
Jacoby and Renfrow. Obviously no Waller this year. We don't know what Michael Mayer is going to be in year 1 as a rookie tight end. Another thing too, it's tough to evaluate with Jimmy because he was in New England and then he went to San Fran, which we know is very friendly for QBs with tons of weapons. But now he's back in the New England system again, so you really haven't seen him outside of either of those two. Now, the sample size in New England was pretty small, and this Raiders team does not have the talent that some of those that he, the small sample size in New England he played with. So I've seen like kind of the narrative, like this Raiders situation could literally just blow up. They could be terrible. And I kind of buy that. Like McDaniel seems to not be it as a coach. Like just part of the Belichick tree that's just not good. And so, I mean, if it blows up and like he starts pouting and like demands a trade, I mean, I don't really know the cap implications if they even could trade him, but like there's a chance he goes to a better situation if that does happen. So I don't know. I think there's several different outs for Devontae Adams, even if the situation does blow up. But
I think with this season, it's probably not possible because you just
he
paid
did
Jimmy
sign
G.
that extension
You
too.
just signed Jimmy G. There's no way. All right, so real quick here. Oh shoot, I might get Alan to follow you. How far out do you start considering your picks? Like 5 picks out, 2 picks out, or do you wait till you get to your turn and start looking?
Yeah, I would have started looking a little earlier than this if we weren't talking and streaming. I would probably have the board up a lot less. I usually have it on like the player pool like this when not streaming.
And then
So that
how
would be.
bad do you want to draft Najee right now? Just kidding.
I do not. I'm gonna go ahead and grab Keenan, and then I don't hate Najee here. But I am gonna break the tie. I've got exactly 13.6 of each of these guys, probably a lot of the time on the same team together. But it's just
that makes a lot of sense.
It's just so easy, right? It's like the week 17 tiebreaker. I don't really have a great reason to take Amari Cooper. Like I like him, but I don't love him that much more than Keenan. And then we both like Jerry Jeudy this year. And if I don't love Najee, even though look at that creeping up on that 8% there for you. It's just an easy
you
week
haven't equaled
17.
ETN. I don't want to hear it. That's gross. I can't.
Yeah, ETN is tough. I don't. Yeah, 7%.
But I mean, it's true though. You are a very flat player on this with a lot of your exposures, and then obviously like 8 to 12 is a jump to an extent, but overall it's pretty flat, which is good. So I just want to see where your when do you start really looking? Who do you consider? When does week 17 start to matter for you? I guess it looks like it matters at some point, probably 3, 4, 5. Are you considering building around Allen and Jeudy more?
Yeah, no. If Herbert makes it back, he probably would definitely be a selection for me here.
QJ, Everett.
Yeah, I would love to build out a Charger stack if I could get it. If he falls back, but yeah, like what you talked about with week 17, like. Yeah, I mean that was just an easy tiebreaker for me there. And I passed on it with the Amon-Ra thing, so I don't do it every time, but yeah, in that type of situation, it's super easy to just select that when you don't love the other players.
And then, so I guess since we're looking at these other rosters here,
yeah,
do you factor your opponents? So obviously you're in between just one person, well, 2 technically, because GA is up there also. Do you factor in your opponent's future picks too? So like let's say we see that Mark doesn't really have anything going on yet, but like if you saw them kind of building out like a game set, maybe he has Amari Cooper and Nick Chubb who set him on Raw there. Like, are you factoring, hey, like I might just not even bother taking Cleveland. I might not even bother taking any those. Like, are you looking at the rosters to figure out what you're gonna do, or even block them?
Yeah, for sure. No, I definitely do that. At the turn, it's a little less important because I get to make both my picks. So, there's not really any like trying to push someone another 3, 4 picks. And then like if I want a guy at the turn, like you just kind of have to take him. It's tough to like be like, man, I hope this guy falls 21 picks back to me or whatever. So I definitely do that. I just think it's different at the turn doing that compared to other starts. Let's see what
I mean, your 2 turn picks, you technically could bogart, right? Like you're in the middle. Like you could bogart a pick from like Mark or even GA to an extent, realistically. You see him going like, maybe he might go Gabe Davis, and then vice versa. You might know Mark might go Pittman. So you can sit there and be like, meh, like I can just like, I need it. Like, that kind of thing.
Yeah. No,
some people don't do it. Like I know that the minute some stacks are out the boat, some people just straight up dodge it completely.
Yeah, I think that could make some sense. I don't know. Like it's just less at the turn for me. I would say like Travis Etienne at pick 50. I know you don't like him, and I liked your article.
At 50, I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah, 50 seems pretty good.
Where I already have 2 receivers, probably wouldn't have taken the quarterback there, but if I had like 2 receivers, a third, and then like Henry to ETN, that's fine. Yeah. I don't like ETN as my RB1. That's where I dislike him. I dislike him a ton as your RB1. I think at 50 is where he should be going.
Yeah,
he should be fighting around 5, not fighting for around 4 or 3.
I think it makes total sense here in the 5th. See, like if I was drafting on my own, obviously there's people here that could snipe me, and that's totally fine if they do. But I'm wanting Herbert to come back for sure. And then I'm gonna
1% of them. I don't know.
1.5%. Yeah, I mean, it's been weird with him because sometimes if you're at the turn, he doesn't come all the way back because the Mike Williams drafter takes him. And that Keenan, the Keenan Judy goes at that turn now a lot, and so the Mike Williams drafter could take him. So we'll see there. And then I'm looking.
I see a lot of Deontay right now. What's going on with that?
Yeah, I have a good bit of him and Chris Godwin there. I'm just in on the Steelers this year, bouncing back. And just the regression for Deontay. Like, it's got to come at some point. If it doesn't come this year, then no. Like, next year's plans will change a lot. But just the volume he earns, I'm in on the touchdowns regressing. They do have a lot of weapons in Pittsburgh, which is tough. Like, he's definitely never going to be like a 10 touchdown guy. But if he get 5 or 6, be huge for his upside.
So you're So
like, notice the Mike Williams drafter passed on Herbert
because he had Lamar.
2 people already have a quarterback here. This person,
but they might hate you.
They could hate me. No, if they, I mean,
they
okay.
There we go.
The person in the 8 spot hates me. It's confirmed. Confirm that. They got their one wide receiver. It's Deebo Samuel through 5 rounds. How you like that team?
TJ Hawk at 41. You think I like TJ Hawk? This guy really likes TJ Hawk.
Yeah, he does.
This person really likes him.
All right, so coming up here, I really
4 receivers
don't
deep.
Love anything.
I mean, you like Godwin enough. You could always get him as your 5th.
Yeah, I could get Godwin. Kittle. I mean, Kittle. Yeah, I'm looking at Kittle here. I'm starting to think like to have. Is there anything I want to reach on? Because again, at the turn, it's not coming back. So if there's anything you want to reach on, Godwin does go. I'm probably gonna do Kittle here, and jeez, I don't love anything else. I mean, I could reach for like Dotson, but I don't like him that much, especially not over the Seattle guys who have exactly 16.7% of each, JSN and Lockett. I think I'm gonna do Madison actually.
You're gonna wait out that Dobbins news for a little bit longer.
Yeah,
fair enough. I mean, I'm not gonna tell you otherwise. Just curious.
Yeah, no. Madison again is someone I would missed the boat on when he was at big 90 and 100. But I like some of the stuff I've been reading about him, and like I said, like I've always thought he was like decent. Like from playing DFS. Like, I mean, and I know it's like a small sample size, but I swear to God, like every time he was playing DFS.
Oh, no, I was laughing at Jason's. Like, I just laughed at his comment. I was like, yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, they have to take the unstacked Justin Herbert.
You just got to do it. You know what I'm saying?
When you only have Deebo Samuel as your one wide receiver through 5 rounds.
I just like how these players are not even in the same divisions. Like, you couldn't even argue they're the same division.
No, there's like
they're all in different divisions.
Let's see what pick they go here. They're going to get wide receiver 2. I mean, they got the Seattle guy. Well, one Seattle guy.
So I was actually wondering if you would have considered just double tapping.
Oh, Dameon Pierce. Smart alpha play.
Would you have double tapped the Seattle there? Just get like 6 high flying receivers
right off the top.
I mean,
I don't hate the idea. I'm doing that less lately. Like I've been trying, like, because I think this mid-tier of running back is okay. Like I think these guys are okay because usually this tier of RB. Sorry, I'm on my other monitor, but like the 5th, 6th round guys, they would be 3rd round, like 2nd, 3rd round picks a couple years ago. Like, and so they have to do less to pay off. Like I'm fine with this range, like getting it kind of as like a semi anchor, guaranteeing some early season production, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I like to mix it up and just get kind of weird and just be like, yeah, you know what, I haven't done this yet, and just see like what ends up looking, what it looks like at the end of my draft. I won't say it's been good.
I have my fair share of 0 RB teams for sure.
Let's feel. But even at 6 wide receivers, like that is funny, especially if you get that like double tap out and it's like a high powered offense. Like you would be running what? Cowboys, Broncos, Chargers, double Seattle. Like it would be interesting. Obviously, I take Kittle here for sure, but I was curious if you were considering like would I go 0 RB there and just brick the rest of my receivers and just eat the RB.
Stop at 6, yeah.
Yeah.
I've definitely done that a few times. It's not been my primary build this year, I'll say. And all the receivers ripping off the board here.
Midway through the season already, we got about 50 days left until season starts. Are you finding yourself stagnant at this point of our drafts? I mean, you still have like 70, 80 more BBMs to knock out, not including the rest of the season.
Yeah, no, this is number 67. I actually don't. Like, this week has been the week that turned for me. I felt it the last, like, 2-3 weeks. I was, like, kind of burnt out. Like, I kind of skipped some of the Pomeranians. I skipped some of the fast and slow puppies. I was just mixing in a BBM here or there to kind of stay on pace. But no, if you can tell, like, I'll go and show like my completeds the last few days. So you can see I did 4 yesterday, 3, and then 3 on the 21st. So I've started to pick it up a little bit with all the new news we're getting.
All right. And then
Jeez, look at that run.
Obviously I draft a little bit different than you. So do you know what your team's already headed to build wise? Like at this point, or is that later?
Yeah, I'm looking at Dak and Russ right now. I'm already thinking about them. Thinking about Purdy. Like, I like that I have 3 QB options open still. I'm not taking Jimmy. But yeah, I'm already looking at, like, I want to get probably a running back on this turn as well. And then see what else is there. I would like to add a 5th receiver. But I've been a little bit more comfortable pushing that. Like, if there's 2 RBs I really like, pushing it a little bit more than I was earlier in the offseason.
Marvin has a question for you. He says, when you go first round Kelsey or second round Kelsey in Superflex, how do you try to make sure you don't lose too much value at RB or wide receiver? We'll probably skip the Superflex portion and we'll go Superflex second. But if you take Kelsey in the first, how do you rebound to like not lose value at RB wide receiver?
So I usually do a 0 RB team if I'm taking Kelsey in the first. If I get him to fall to like late first, I'm hoping I get a Waddle. I've gotten an Amon-Ra to fall. I have 2 Amon-Ra Kelsey pairings. Obviously, then you miss out on Mahomes because he just hasn't come back to me. All right.
Is it my boy?
It might be your boy. My boy Kadarius Toney, the cover boy. No. And the Javonte though, increasing the Denver bet. Getting some more Javonte now that he might not be.
Good news, and the ADP is not too high.
You get some good news. I'm actually something I haven't done a bunch. I'm going to do a Dallas double with Connor here.
I find myself not taking a lot of Cook, and I feel like that's going to bite me at some point. I feel like I missed Cook a little bit.
How much do I have of him? I just missed. I don't think I have that much.
You have like 10. You have like 10%.
Oh, 10%. That's more than I thought.
Yeah, me too. I didn't think you have 10. That's pretty cool. All right. So you just go 0 RB if you're taking Kelsey.
Yeah, so I usually go 0 RB because if I end up some reason taking him at 5 or 6, which I haven't done a lot, I will take Mahomes at ADP in that scenario. It's just when he falls to 10, I usually get a pretty good person to fall back, receiver wise, whether it's Olave, Amon-Ra, or Waddle, and so I'll do that. And then I usually go 0 RB just because the receivers being so pushed up. I don't want to get too far behind already taking Kelsey. And especially if I do Kelsey Mahomes, I'm then probably my next 3 picks minimum are going to be receivers. And then I would consider an RB, but usually my first 4 picks, maybe after doing a Mahomes Kelsey, are going to be receiver.
And then I guess from a super flex side, I've never done it from a super flex side. I'll be honest with you.
I have not been playing the super flex contest as much.
And when I have, I just can't see the price for a tight end. I really can't. I feel like RBs get pushed up quite a bit because elite RBs are such a thing. I don't know if tight end moves up enough for me that I have to It's not good enough in my mind to do that because I do feel like you're losing a lot of value at quarterback, or just really premium RB wide receiver plays. To be fair, like Kelsey's his own monster, but I don't know.
Yes. I mean, it was funny. Like we could talk about him real quick. You know, Kadarius Toney already hurt again. Shocker. Gonna, the Kelsey quote about, hey, we hope to have him back, by the start of the season, or at least a few games into the season. I think Schefter came out and said, or Rap, one of the two, I can't remember, said they're expecting him to start the season, on the field. But it's the same old story with Kadarius Toney. He just cannot. He's just one of those guys, like, is truly is injury prone. Like, he cannot stay healthy. And a lot of his injuries are, like, soft tissue stuff, so.
Yeah, knee, cartilage, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's tough with him. So, I mean, I think there's a good chance Kelsey does just smash again. I mean, that receiving core is not good. And they don't have, like, any running backs we love. I'm coming more around on Pacheco, though.
Also, Kelsey's been playing, like, some people are like, oh, he plays at a high level. Like, for expert, the guy's been playing beyond a high level.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he's been playing at, like, the best in his position. He's been playing at a Hall of Fame level. His last year was another Hall of Fame level type of season. So it's it's kind of different when you have like guys like Hopkins or whatever. Like you can start to see that dwindle a little bit. But as a Kelsey, it's really not. It's like he's still playing at just Hall of Fame levels. So I don't know. I do think that's a fair point. I just feel like it's tough though.
Yeah.
To want to take him in super flex. Regular, it's fine. I think in super flex, I feel like you're eating a lot.
Yeah.
Especially because it's 20 rounds. You can find a way to get 4 tight ends doing those, actually. All right. So back at your picks again. Let's see what you got. Yeah, it's CD, Devontae, Keenan, and Judy Cooks. Obviously, you're probably pivoting towards some quarterbacks. Would you skip quarterback if like some value kept coming down to you? Would you just be like, screw it, I'm gonna just grab the value?
It would depend.
It would like Purdy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally fine taking Purdy. I think he's a fine pick. No, I mean, right here, I'm obviously I've got the
Purdy
Dallas
out.
double. I want Dak to come back here. So if he doesn't, obviously, I don't mind making a bet on the Dallas offense without him. And it wouldn't make as much sense for the other people around me because they shouldn't have anyone from Dallas. Well, unless they have Pollard, that could make some sense, but not as much.
Right, so J-Dubs just got taken 3 spots ahead of you. Would you have taken J-Dubs there?
Yeah,
correlation
probably would have, just because I've already got 5 pretty strong receivers. I don't have to worry about using him. I'm not worried about I've got some early production here at running back, and so yeah, Dak Jamo would have been ideal there.
Okay. All right, so you're probably up.
Who does this person have? Yep. So we're definitely gonna queue up Dak, and then let's see. I've spent a good bit on Kittle, so I think I'm going to pass on the 2 tight ends. Even though you are getting a 13 pick fall on Evan Ingram, I haven't taken him non-stacked. Let's see.
Okay.
It's probably going to be Brian Robinson here, just because I like this range of running backs, and he's a guy I like. Just he's a guy we both like at this point.
And then I guess, are you still on the B-Rob train over A-Rob? Gibson?
Gibson? Yeah, I am. I've got like a decent amount of both. Obviously, I'm 20% Brian Robinson, so that's.
I know that's like crazy to see that for you.
No, I've got some high percentage of guys, but I don't love the 2 week 14 buys for those guys. But
I feel myself, I'm always in that spot because of my Connor.
This is gonna be a 6 RB. It's going to be a 6 RB team anyway, though. James Williams, the Lions, Kadarius Toney. It seems like that. It's tough to say that, though. Like, his injury in college, I mean, it was just like an ACL tear. It wasn't a nagging injury or anything like that. So I'd push back on that, at this point. And then, obviously the 6-game suspension is what it is. But I'm not, obviously, he's a Bama guy, so I'm going to defend him. But I think it's a little different, though.
You don't have to say that part. You just lost your own argument. You're like, I got
no. Hey, I mean, you got to ride for your guys. But also, I do think it's different, though. I think his injury is completely different than Toney. Now, yeah, him just not being able to stay on the field and just always being stuff like that.
Oh,
But
it's
yeah,
more of his injury today is similar. Okay.
yeah, that's fair. I don't know though. I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts there on James Williams being the Lions, Kadarius Toney?
I'm not a JMO guy like in general, because I did take him last year, so I don't think he's bad or whatever. I just didn't take him last year because of the injury situation coming in, and we knew he wasn't going to be playing for a majority of the season. I feel like this is a lot different. My only concern here for JMO is the lack of chemistry. I think that's going to come back from it.
That is tough.
But like you could argue that last year they still figured it out. I feel like that
he had one catch.
Two, just one didn't count because it was a flag.
Yeah.
But like he still threw it to him on a deep, like it's hard to like throw deep to your guys that you don't trust.
You have some Van
But I
Jeff
think
going.
he'll be fine. They took him in the first. I feel like they have to love him and to draft him that early last year too. He was like the third receiver to be drafted in that class. So they did pass on guys too.
Yeah, what was he like 12th overall?
I think it wasn't like he was a cheap first round guy. So. Oh
no, it's tough though. Look, you'd rather him be on the field than not, obviously.
Okay, so pause. Let's look at the middle of this draft. Yeah, you got Van Jeff, Nico, all on one team ahead of ADP. How do you feel about that?
I'm not as much. I saw your Nico tweet. I'm not as much of a Nico hater as you, but I would not take him in the 9th round. That's for sure. I liked him a lot better when he was like 13th round. But yeah, Nico.
Yeah, that was my main Nico hate. It's like a rookie quarterback, a guy that hasn't finished the season really, and then he's just rising up boards. Like, look at this. Then this is what I was talking about. Like, come on, you got to be.
Yeah, I'm not going to take him in the 9th round. Romeo Doubs up there in the 9th as well.
Yeah, that guy chose Nico over like JMO over
Tyler
Dobbs.
Boyd. No, not over Tyler Boyd.
But like, it's just funny to me. And now we got Van Jeff too. This is like, what's the rest of that team
guys who are going like 50 picks later than this when BBM opens.
That's on Twitter hype right there.
Look at Anthony Richardson at pick 124 here.
What happened?
That's the Jason.
That's good. I'll take that all day.
Yeah. I think that's Jason right there.
I actually thought you might have double tapped him there with Dak. I was actually thinking you might do that.
Yeah, because I've got like other late quarterback options, so I'm not like pressing that.
And then I guess for my next question would be is like,
I'm gonna start looking at the.
Do you feel playing balance is better, or are you pushing an advantage? Are you willing to let like one thing fall apart?
It's all about your risk tolerance.
Yeah. So what's yours, I guess?
And I also think volume matters a lot as well. Like I've done close to like 600 best ball teams at this point. And it's not only your risk tolerance, it's what you think you're best at and things like that. So let me settle in here, make a pick. I'm probably just gonna go and grab Russ and be done at quarterback. I wish Dulcich would have made it back, but he did not.
Dulcich is getting dragged early now. People are in on him.
I'm gonna go ahead and grab Russ, and then I'll take McKinnon.
Tank.
Rondell's there. I've only got 1% of him. I don't know. I could do the Gallup thing. Let's see.
Three. You would do 3 Cowboys?
No, I don't think so. I would do Ferguson late as tight end. Man, I don't love this spot here. I think I'm just gonna grab Tank at RB. Get off that week 14 bye stuff, and hopefully your article's correct and he just is eating into ETN all year, and then by week 14 when I need him.
I don't know if he eats into it. I was just more of like, I just don't think ETN's just like, I don't know, man. It's we've seen what happens when these like 3rd round guys come in and take over. You're not spending like a 3rd round pick's pretty expensive depending on the team. I think
you're talking about for Tank.
Yeah. So like on a team where the Jaguars had so many needs still, right? They're still weak at defense. They're still kind of weak at the line. They could have used the receiver still. They could have even used the tight end there. They could have used a lot of things. And they were like, dog, We need another RB. It just like really does not feel good. And there's a difference. There's a difference with like some third, fourth round picks, but specific to them, when you're just like you have a first round guy that's still young, that's still in the contract, you can find anybody. They could have found anybody in free agency. They decided, nah, man, it's tank time. And that's like really scary from my side. We just saw what happened to Gibson last year with like
yeah, and like I was hyping up Tank in the big board. Like I love Tank in college. But yeah, to finish your point on drafting balance versus exploitative, I think it can be done in multiple ways. Like I have tons of guys I have 0% of, 1% of. I've only taken a few times. But yeah, I think it's about how you approach the game and what your skill set is. I approach it from more of it as a game versus picking players. I love approaching the game theory aspect of it, the playoff weeks, like all of that. I love that's what drew me to best ball, was trying to solve the game versus picking my favorite players. Now I have player takes mixed in, but yeah, my highest guy I think right now is like 28%. And I've got tons of 0%ers.
Those are rookie numbers.
Yeah, no, and like you grind the tape for sure, definitely more than I do. And so you've got your
that 20%'s a lot, by the way. I still think
I have several people. Yeah, 28%. I think I've got 3 up that high, like Daniel Jones, Warren, someone else. But yeah, it's just how you approach it, and then obviously volume I think matters. Like, I mean, if I'm doing 500 or 600 underdog teams, like I just want to spread it out more because they're like NFL seasons are so random, and like we think we know something, and then we don't. And then last year the Seahawks are incredible and make the playoffs when we think they're gonna have a top when we think they're gonna have a top 3 pick in the draft. And it was also just me, that was the narrative, right? And it made sense. Like it's Drew Lock versus Geno Smith. Like this is gross. That you didn't have a great defense, we thought, and so yeah, Nobo and me, like we I think we approached the game pretty similarly, just based off some chats. Yeah, we're in and everything. So it would make sense that we have a similar top percentage. But yeah, I think it's just how you approach the game, where you think your strengths lie. And then I think volume's a good aspect. If I was doing 10 teams, I would much more likely go just get my guys that I really like. I'd have Ramondre on 8 of them. I'd want to like have the guys I root for, the guys I really believe in. But if I'm doing 500 or 600 teams, it's just, to me, I don't think it's that smart. Just with the randomness of football and the NFL.
Yeah, no, that's fair. This is all about mind picking here, because I like to see what other people are doing. I feel like we don't get enough of that. This is kind of where this is obviously coming from.
Sure. No, I think it's a good question. I like
so Marvin Moms had a question though about the Broncos again for trading for Marvin Mims. You have an opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, look, Tim Patrick's coming off a serious injury. Cortland Sutton hasn't been amazing for them. And I know you said when you went back and watched the film, like you did not love what you saw from Cortland Sutton either. And so I think those 2 guys have pretty serious question marks coming into the year. So I think it makes sense to add someone in the draft.
I would be willing to bet money one of those guys gets offloaded for sure by next year. I guarantee you Patrick or Sutton gets offloaded. One of those guys does.
Man, I was really
they both have heavy contracts. They both have heavy contracts. Sutton looked really bad last year. He's 6'4", and if you watch his tape, he does not play like he's 6'4". He gets bullied on the end line. It's tough. It's a tough watch on press. And then Patrick coming off an ACL tear. The dude's already older. I know people are like joking that they didn't know he was like 27 or 29, and I'm like, yeah, he's been around for actually a couple of years now. And his best season came under Drew Lock, technically.
Yeah.
When everybody else was injured.
All right, I cannot pass.
I was gonna say, are you gonna take that? That's like a 30 pick fall.
I can't pass a 30 pick fall from Jamal, and then I'm gonna just go and stack up Russ double here with Mims. Yeah, you can't pass up that ADP value, especially with the Kendra Miller stuff, as well as Kamara probably still being at least a 4-game suspension. I mean, like, if my 13th round pick in Jamal score counts in my lineup like the first 4 straight weeks, like that pretty much pays off the pick like right there.
Yeah, I was like, are you gonna take him? Because here's the thing, you're betting him at 156, right? It's not like you took him at ADP where you taking a guy at ADP. I think you have a different set of expectations. So, you're just like. I was like, if you don't take him.
No, I was going to. I just took him, and I was making sure I didn't miss anything like that wasn't going to come back because I was looking for like if there was a tight end I really liked that wasn't going to come back. Like Everett Mims there would have been my ideal double tap if he would have got to me, but no, yeah,
Don't
30
worry though.
picks on
Like the
Jamal.
guy that did take Herbert did get him though, so you gotta make sure you get your
Hey, you got Carr.
You got Carr.
Like Debo, the person we were just singing their praises, Cortland
But,
Sutton.
hey,
Man, this person
Cortland
is drafting. They're like, look at this wide receiver core. It's like the anti-Davis. Debo
this is such an anti because I've actually like crapped on half these guys.
Sky
Moore is the only
he
one I've
redeemed it
actually
for you.
praised.
He got Terrace Marshall.
I have praised Sky Moore to an extent.
Terrace Marshall in the 14th round, by the way. This is a weird
This
room.
is like this guy either hates and loves me at the same time. He's like,
Purdy
I got you,
here.
David Carr, buddy.
Purdy goes in the 14th round.
Sheesh.
Kyler went in the 13th. Interesting. I'm glad I went and took Dak and Russ when I did and be done at QB.
Yeah, that's a quarterback run. Oh, but the Dak Goff fall is huge too. Goff at 155.
Rodgers at 145 is a little late. Huh? Yeah, this room is weird. Jalen Warren went in the 11th round as well.
101. Double rookie and one Hall of Famer. It's a good balance.
Double rookie and Hall of Famer. And no other early QBs. Taekwon, Jaden Reed. Yeah, I like the way this team's shaping up, though. It's probably headed for 2, 6, 7, 3. Maybe I will quit with 2 tight ends. We'll see. But yeah, starting 4 straight running backs allows me to quit at 7, which I've been liking to do. Not taking my first RB till 60, even though I took like 3 guys, quote unquote, starting running backs.
Does Williams pivot your running back room now? Like, do you feel like you can go 5 with him?
I probably could, but I'm still gonna go 6. I think,
okay.
Just because there are serious questions around Connor and Madison and Robinson. Like,
no, that's fair. I agree. I was just curious on your part because I know some people who just are really not into RBs too much and find them really replaceable, and they're just like, that's great, like this is enough. Because actually, you did get good value on a chunk of these guys, and if you're playing that upside game, like, hey, these guys can have upside to an extent, I feel like it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I just noticed I have double the Jeff Wilson as I do Mostert. I'm fine.
You have 0 Curtis Samuel. I just noticed that.
It's tough. I actually don't hate Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel was on my my winning GP DraftKings team last year. Him and Amon-Ra was my mini correlation on that Dolphins Ravens thing.
I'm actually kind of surprised you have 0. I mean, we know he's still pretty good, and he finished the season last year, which was the biggest concern with them.
I mean, I could take him. I have a Washington bet. Yeah. All right. I'm going to go ahead and grab Mostert here, and then I'm probably going to do Knox as well. Get my tight end too. I don't really have any other reason to take Jawan. I don't really have a New Orleans bet, but I like Knox more, as you can tell.
That 20% Gus bus. Yes.
That's from like early too. I feel like I had like when the contest first started way more.
I mean, he had that like pseudo hype where he went from like undrafted to like 17, 16, and he's been kind of floating there. So you still like, it's not like a ton of value because let's be real, like 18 to 16 round isn't like the biggest jump, but it's still like a jump in the grand scheme. Fournette at 182. Parker at 183. Man, this room is crazy.
Who's falling? I guess it was like Knoxville, maybe. Oh, Matthew Stafford's still on the board. Samuel's falling some. Yeah, interesting.
Juwan even is falling too.
Yeah. This is an interesting room.
I've noticed a lot of these these rooms at the end are like really getting interesting. I felt like my last 3 rounds have always been kind of weird. You're starting to see a lot of more names you weren't seeing, I would say, like in June and May than you are now. Like I'm getting a lot of randos down there. I mean, like Paris Campbell, for God's sakes, like that kind of stuff. How do you feel about that wide receiver combo? Terrence Marshall, Paris Campbell, Josh Palmer. Does that scream upside at you?
And then add that with Dobbs, Sky Moore, Sutton, and Debo. It's certainly one of the wide receiver cores of all time.
It's like he's reenacting the Giants slot room. It's like weird.
I like some of these guys in a vacuum on different teams. I don't know if I would pair them all together. What'd you think of the Dubs positive blurb today?
I like it. I mean, I'm not a Dobbs guy by any means.
Or
but
Dobbs,
like,
my bad.
I'm not a Dobbs guy, but like, man, like I'm okay being wrong on him. I'm like, if it hits and anyone like smashes on him, I'm stoked. Maybe he's like the next I'm on Raw, right?
He was fun those first like few weeks of the year, like where he was doing a little bit of stuff with Rodgers, and then it just like tailed off, and Christian Watson just came on and was like, "I know, I'm way better than you."
And this wide receiver room is really wide open, right? Like Jalen Reed is like was supposed to be a 3rd or 4th round guy that got taken kind of early in the second.
An old prospect, if I'm not mistaken, too.
He's slightly older, so I agree. This is not the type of guy I think that we can assume is just going to go off. And like Dobbs has an opportunity, and I think it's one thing I kind of wish I came around to earlier when he was in the 140, I think 150 zone. But now he's at 120. I'm kind of questioning like that's a ceiling play. But
hate seeing Jake Ferguson go. I was gonna want to take him one of my last two. What is your opinion on him? The reason I've been in on it is just like Dak and his tight ends, like the Dallas tight ends the last few years with Schultz has been really solid.
Oh, of course.
For touchdowns and year. And Schultz was like such a smash a couple years ago when he was going really late. So like I know it's still uncertain. You got Schumacher there, you got Hendershot and Ferguson, but it seems like Ferguson's the guy. Like I know it's like stupid, but like he was invited to like that tight end U thing that like Kittle and Kelsey and all of them do. Like, and Kittle mentioned, like he's one of the guys that's up next when he was asked like who were 5 under the radar tight ends. Like, I don't know if that means anything. I took a little bit of stock in it that, he's probably going to be given first crack.
I think he's going to get first crack. We know that tight end takes a little bit longer to learn to play. It's not as easy as the other. None of these positions are easy. I take that back, but it takes longer. It's like you take about a year or two, and maybe Ferguson's just like just give a crap shot at him. Why not? Yeah. Because he did perform last year. We saw this in the past with Schultz and then the Blake Jarwin before him. Blake Jarwin was the next guy up, got injured, comes back, and Schultz still outperforms them. And they were like, "All right, Schultz, you're our guy." They're going to do that. It's better for the locker room too. You can't have like cemented people on the team just get overlapped. And look at Purdy. Purdy's proving that point right now where the locker room wants what they want. So
Trey Lance.
Of course, Trey Lance gets drafted as I say that.
Terry said he's feeling good about his team at 3. Thoughts? So I'll definitely take a look at it once I make these 2 picks. Musgrave goes to GA. I was going to take him here as my tight end 3. A little run back on Madison. So we'll see. You know what? Yeah, he fell all the way back. Another 30, 80 pick.
He works with your Kittle.
Fall, yeah. And my B-Rob, just betting on an offense being good. So yeah, we're gonna do Curtis. Let me give myself a little extra time to think on this next one. So we got Kittle Knox. You could probably feel pretty okay about as a 2 tight end build. So I could do if there's another receiver here I love, which there's not.
You have Hyatt, you have Mecole Hardman, you have Robert Woods.
Yeah, I'm taking a smattering of all of these guys. I have 60% Hyatt. Yeah, I do have Gesicki who fell. I would consider him.
He's also an ADP fall a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't love it. I'm probably just going to lean to 3 tight end because I just know they're going to be out there. Even though I do like a few of these receivers. Got 4% Gesicki. I don't know what my Hunter Henry's at 7. Yeah, I'll just grab Gesicki.
I was saying maybe Jelani Woods against your Adams, but who knows if that even plays out.
No, that's tough. Jelani has been my main guy. I think I said this last week, but he's someone in the big board I was just taking all the time, and because it was 20 rounds, and now it's like I don't do nearly as good a job of actually scrolling down and mixing in more of these guys. But yeah,
parts of the room for that. They kind of mixed up that final round a little bit. Those last 2. So.
Yeah, no, I love gadget play with Curtis Samuel. I mean, I think that's one of the bull cases for if you're a Christian Watson person too. Like they really did try and get the ball in his hand in a variety of ways. end arounds, like different plays like that. So if you're really into Christian Watson, I think that's another kind of feather in his cap as well. All right, Terry, I want to take a look at his in the 3 spot.
The green bean.
Green bean. I'm going to pull it up the other way. Let's see what we got going on here. 3 QB build with Daniel Jones, Kenny Pickett, Sam Howell. I think that's totally fine. I'm going to have to wait till actually all the picks happen to look at it this way.
Yeah. Well, he might get Hyatt. If he gets Hyatt back, that'd be really strong for him because he has DJ. All right. So just recap out your team really fast.
Yeah, we'll do mine first. Yeah, so we got a Dak. No, you got.
I was gonna say, so let's go through your actual build and then we'll follow up the rest of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got 2, 6, 7, 3 here. One of my most comfortable builds this year. I'm doing less like 9 wide receiver teams, especially. I feel like I did, a few of those last year. That didn't end up the best. But we got Dak and Russ here. We got Dak double with CD and Brandon Cooks. I like that a lot. Didn't get, any Detroit people to run it back, but that's not a big deal. Same thing, Russ with Jerry Jeudy and Marvin Mims. Really like that combo. My 2 favorite receivers in that offense. And then we went 6 RBs, taking Madison, Connor, B-Rob, Tank, Jamal, Mostert. I really like this build. I think it's a good 6 RB build because the first 3, all should have pretty solid roles, but there are still questions around them. So I just feel more comfortable with 6 and this type of build. And I started my draft with 4 straight wide receivers. So I'm really making a bet on those receivers smashing. And then I even, took Cooks to 85 as well. So that's 5 strong bets at receiver. Allow me to stop at 7. And then I did make a strong bet on Kittle, but then we got Knox all the way at 180. So I don't mind adding that 3rd tight end late when, Kittle is a guy just because how many weapons are in San Francisco. Or sometimes he has those random games where he spends the whole day blocking and gets 2 targets. It just happens in that offense. So I don't mind 3 tight end builds with him. I could have stopped just because I really like Knox too, but there was no one else I really loved at another position. A few of the receivers I did like, I could say, could have done an 8th receiver. But yeah, I think it's a pretty solid team overall. It's a pretty standard build for me, I would say, in 2023. Getting spending a little bit at running back, getting one of those mid-tier guys that's usually a 3rd rounder in the dead zone, but now they're in the 5th, 6th. So yeah, I think it's a solid team.
Okay. Like I said, I get it. We talked about this quite a bit too with the whole 8 and 9 receivers. Even Drake Dan on the ETR was these guys might not even do anything. You're in a good situation. You want your 8th and 9th receiver to really not contribute, right? That's actually should be the goal. You don't want your 8th guy being handy because unless your 8 wide receiver is 2019 T Higgins, you don't want these guys contributing because it feels bad. But yeah, I mean that's good. I'm glad you walked that through.
Just a little bit light on week 17. I would say I got a little LAC Denver here, little San Fran. Well, I guess that's Buffalo, New England. San Fran, Washington. I mean, I really didn't focus on it, and as you can tell, it still kind of came together with 3 different games stacked. Yeah, it still got the stacks, and I still got 3 week 17s played off. So even when you're not 100% focused in on it, it still occurs a lot in your drafts naturally.
I guess my last question, before we start hopping on other people's teams. Also, shout out to Pat for hopping in. Thanks, Pound. We love you.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep crushing.
Is stacking more important to you than the week 17 correlation? Because I know they're kind of the same idea, right? But is it more important?
For sure. Yeah, it is to me. Getting the QB stacked up over worrying about week 17. I do want both. It is more than a tiebreaker for me. I do want to leave drafts with some week 17 correlation because obviously that's where the money is. And like I said, I did 3 different ways. And when I really wasn't even overly prioritizing it in a draft, really the LAC, the Denver, that double tap was the one time I was really, I'm grabbing it here. So
it worked out. It stacked out still for the most part. I guess.
I think it's a super solid team.
because there always been talks about like replaceable points for certain positions, quarterback, tight. I mean, I've heard an argument case for every position, but even wide receiver sometimes like everything is like replaceable. But I like to see where you're at on that. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we have a couple of people when we get reviewed. We have
Green Bean.
Frank with Terry. Let's go with Terry first.
Let's start with Terry. Yeah, we talked about his QBs. Really solid 3 QB room. I think if we're talking about like the Leone buckets as well, I think it's totally fine spend at QB. He did reach 15 picks on Daniel Jones. We'll see if he was setting up something. Yeah, he had Waller, who he also reached 15 picks on. So he really wanted the Giants.
Five picks.
Sorry, I'm blind. So yeah, so he got Waller. So he really wanted to get Daniel Jones. I think that makes sense. 4 RB build here with Ramondre, Najee, Mixon, and Roshan. Took both of our guys there as the first 2 RBs.
Even many of mine the Mixon. It's a pretty fragile, but I like it. It's 3 down guys right on paper right now.
It's pretty fragile. I would even usually like I've mixed in a few 4 RB builds, but when I do like my 4th one is sometimes like a David Montgomery, a B Rob, a little bit more like solid role, but I don't mind it.
It's really expensive though at that point.
It is, but then that's when I do 9 wide receivers. Like, I just kind of balance it out that way.
Okay.
I'll show you that team. I can pull it up. It's like a 3-4-9, and then whatever that math for the tight end is.
Then receivers.
Jamar Chase, DK, Dotson, Elijah Moore, Rashee Rice, Alec Pierce. Let's see. Yep. So he took Freiermuth. I was thinking maybe the receivers were a touch weak, but I mean, you got Chase, you got Metcalf, your first 2 picks.
He's got a lot of Seattle versus
Pittsburgh
for week 17.
Or I like this. I would say like if this was mine, I probably wouldn't have done Ferguson because you spent 2 pretty high picks on tight end. Obviously, like if you didn't like anyone else late there, going tight end who we just sang Ferguson's praises in Dallas. But I don't know that if I'm Waller Freiermuth, I'm probably 2 tight ends. What do you think about that? Who
would you have taken then? You would take an extra receiver?
Probably the 5th running back. I don't know. Yeah, maybe an extra receiver.
It means a solid
at 195. It's tough. Like it probably would have been reorganized somewhere else throughout the lineup, but it's super solid. You got like some studs at each position, which I like.
I don't know if I don't think I'm against it. This roster turned out pretty well. I think if I'm betting for RB, it's fine.
Yeah, that late in the draft too. Like the tight ends are just a better bet, so makes sense.
Plus, the wide receivers here look a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Seeing 3 RBs,
that makes sense. Yeah, you still got like 3 and even 4 in the wide receiver window that people are talking about. So. Yeah, I think it makes
looked a lot better than I thought it was going to turn out.
Because all the QB spend was pretty late, which makes sense. I think the team structurally makes a lot of sense, and I like that you got studs. There probably like a couple different things I would have done differently, but overall it's solid.
Yeah, I feel like the wide receiver room is really top heavy, but it's upside guys. I feel like you
Rice, Pierce.
This is one of these kind of teams that like would advance, but then like have a bad playoff week. And then you lose. Like I feel like that's probably the biggest issue here, but I don't think that's terrible by any means, because there's a chance these guys just go off.
Yeah, that's what Terry's saying. There's one in the RB. I think that's totally fair. And the tight end projects a lot better than go with the tight end.
Than like RB3 on a team, like that's totally fine.
Yeah,
I think Ferg makes sense here.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then we had one for King of Kings for Frank.
Yeah. King of Kings.
I actually do like that roster a lot, though. I think that was interesting. I actually thought the wide receiver room was gonna be a lot worse, but then I see it, I'm like, oh, it's actually not bad.
Yeah, especially having the fireman too. Like that's really good.
Lamar Purdy, Dalvin Cook, AJ Dillon, Rashad Penn. This is really a team up the gut. This is like 5 dudes right up the gut. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle.
Oh, that's a rare combo nowadays.
Yeah, especially with Lamar.
Yeah, with Lamar too. Yeah, that's. And I love
you snuck to see if Andrews was there, didn't you? You were like, "Is Andrews there?" Like you had to see it.
I did. I stuck to see if Andrews was there, but he did the likely, which I've talked about loving. Like if you miss on Andrews, like if Andrews goes down, this team is gonna like smash so hard. I like that a lot.
You got Zay too. Oh, it's got Mike Williams, Zay, Brandon Ayuk, Jordan Addison. Odell, that's really bad on that huge 17. Couple of deep flyers, a consistency player, and this is a really good roster, actually.
Yeah, I like to see him a lot.
RB room kind of scares me, though.
RB rooms, that was what I was going to say, is a tiny bit thin for me. Like, Cook, I don't know, it probably would have been a 6 RB team, and then maybe, I don't know, though, like, maybe a 7 receiver. It's tough. Cook is just, we don't know where he's going to be, like, if he's going to be a main guy. Like, if he ends up somewhere he's a main guy, I feel way better about this team. But yeah, the running back room's a little bit scary with Penny's health, Dylan being in a timeshare. Dalvin Cook probably headed for a timeshare. But hey, it's a 0 RB team. Like, I probably would want a 6 though. But I don't know where I would have taken it from because I like all the receivers you picked.
I would have taken it from Odell.
Yeah.
I would have taken like a Harris there. I would have taken I think you could have sacrificed Odell. Worst case scenario, you could sacrifice Shaheed, because you got to think about that window of wide receivers, right? Like look at where the wide receiver ADPs are: 6, 20, 44, 53, 68, 77. So he has 1, 2, 3, 6 receivers in the first 77 picks, and one of them is a reach.
Yeah, I agree with you. I would have turned Odell into a running back.
And I would feel way stronger. Like Flowers is the guy at 77. You're saying he's the guy.
Yeah. That would have been the only thing I'd changed, though. It's a really fun roster. It's just the RB room just scares me. But also, if you get the right ping pong of weeks, with a 0 RB team, if this team can get to the playoffs, I could see it being really strong too.
Yeah.
Team 4. Jason wants his team 4. All right. 2583. We got Burrow Anthony Richardson with a 20 pick fall on Richardson, that's
got to be a rare
super nice. Yeah,
that's gonna be cool.
Yeah, especially getting Richardson all the way back there. Ken Walker, Pacheco, Swift, Algier, and Tyjae Spears as RB room. That's pretty solid overall.
Got Cup, Higgins, Calvin Ridley, Pittman, Boyd, Jacoby, Isaiah, Richie.
I like this. Got a lot of KC Cincinnati bet with and then tight end room as well. Hurst, Mayer. I think it's a super, super solid team. I like it.
I think my only qualm for the team is the tight ends. You have a very low track record set of tight ends here. A rookie, a guy that couldn't hack it, where a guy did come in and kind of go off. And then obviously Hayden Hurst, who's on the 4th team now? 3rd? 4th?
Falcons, Ravens, Panthers. Or Ravens.
Yeah, Falcons. Ravens, Falcons.
Bengals, Panthers. Yeah, 4th.
Bengals. So it's kind of like a rough call here. I think I would have eaten a better tight end somewhere. And then maybe on the RBs, because you have 3 guys in secondary roles possibly, right? Algier, DeAndre, and Spears. It's a tough one. I think that's the only qualm.
You got Swift, 15 picks past 80.
Yeah, I did get 20 picks though. But if you're taking them like that, 20 picks, it means you're not confident in the player overall. So
but 16 picks past ADP is tough to pass up on Swift.
I'm not saying he shouldn't have passed up. I'm just saying it's not a
confident. No, I agree. Yeah, tight end is just the one position, but overall, I think it's a super strong team. A lot of good teams.
Yeah. Overall, though, I think the combo at quarterback is probably.
No, I think this is fair. He legit could, be a safety blanket for a rookie QB with Hayden Hurst there in Carolina.
Yeah, quarterback room's tight. Wide receiver room is really strong. I think the RB and tight end is a little scary at times. You're going to lose points at least.
I feel really good about the RBs, but it's just the tight ends. Maybe I would have reorganized it a little. Oh, that's tough. If you're going to punt a position, though, you did the right one, right?
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, other than that, that's it, guys. Thanks for kicking with us for the past hour.
This is really fun. We're gonna do the same thing Thursday as well, except reverse the roles. Davis gonna be picking his own team every pick, and I will be kind of interviewing him on each pick. Getting into his mind, his process. And as the good streamers, of course, we are. The very first time we're mentioning it, an hour and 10 minutes into the show, but hit the like, hit the subscribe. It really does mean a lot to us. But yeah, we'll be back Thursday.
We really need to get better at that. It's the worst thing, self-advertisement for this.
It's awkward. Yeah. I don't think either of us are super
we're not here
out there.
It's kind of weird, like begging for likes. No, but like, subscribe, all that fun stuff.
It really does help. So we appreciate it. And yeah, this was fun. I really like it. Dark like that. Yeah, that was really fun. Stream. So same thing on Thursday with Davis ripping a BBM. And now me and Davis are gonna head off and figure out our equity in these teams.
And remember, guys, it's stacking. It is mandatory, but pants are optional on our draft. So catch you later.
See ya.